Hi, welcome to Butcherbird Presents, a show about working in the digital space. We have here with us Eric Herrera and
really close, really close.
Kevin Herrera.
Kevin Herrera.
This is live. Oh my God.
Live now, coming to you from Butcherbird Studios.
Kevin Herrera and Rawn Erickson here, part of TheMachine.
That's
Herrera
Donald
and Donald
Kensington.
Erickson.
And Quark. Well, we're at let's just do that. I love the first beat I screw up.
Hey,
It's perfect.
Because that's what
good.
this is.
Perfection.
This is live. But let's just dive in real
Cool.
quick. I know I want to get into talking about sort of the history of working in the digital space.
Yeah.
A little bit about kind of your guys' history. A little bit about kind of where the space was and where it is now. But let's start with talking a little bit about what TheMachine actually is.
Yeah, TheMachine's a management and production company focused on emerging talent, platforms, and technologies. So just covering the entire digital space and trying to figure out, and I think doing a pretty good job of it, of how to monetize and make content within that world, and,
Right.
and kind of keep it open to people, because the gates are going to be coming up and coming down pretty soon. So.
Basically figuring out what everybody else has been trying to figure out over the last 15 years or so.
Yeah, and combining our knowledge of the space. Ron comes from, where do you come from, Ron? Where do you hail from?
I come from Mars.
That's good. And of course your mother. You come from your mother.
Yeah, no, but I mean, my history is as a YouTuber, coming up from the beginning of Maker Studios and all the way to the sale of that company. And now taking that into the new era of digital, which is, I call it traditional digital.
Traditional digital.
Yeah,
Good.
this is now everyone knows what's up and all the money's coming in, all the big wigs are coming in, and it's not anything like new anymore.
It's mainstream digital.
Mainstream,
Digital's become
yeah,
mainstream.
exactly.
Let's take a look at what you guys have going on with TheMachine. So I'd like to show a real quick clip right now.
Nice throwback. Oh, you can hear it.
It easily needs you. It wants to feel you deep within it.
All right.
Yeah.
That looked awesome.
Thanks, thank you so
And
much.
what was interesting about it was the diversity of content we seem to be looking at too.
Yeah,
Right?
for sure. Yeah, it's you have Snapchat, you have Instagram, you have Vimeo, you have YouTube, you have Amazon, Netflix, Crackle. It's anywhere from your traditional hour-long dramas all the way down to small bite-sized Instagram stories. It's the content. I mean, with what you guys do at Butcherbird,
totally,
it's
yeah.
just like all over the place, all over the map.
So let's go back to the beginning. Let's
Yeah.
look at the beginnings of digital content and the first big players in the space. I know Maker was a big player in the space. And let's just kind of talk a little bit about the history of digital content and what it did.
Yeah. Well, Maker Studios wasn't the first player in the space, which is pretty interesting. A lot of people, they like you said, you think a lot of people still think digital is like this new thing, but when YouTube started, there was the people that a lot of time is forgotten in a lot of ways. You got like Renetto, Naltz, Dax Flame, Lisa Nova, all these I consider them pioneers of digital content. These were people that, they were getting like 2,000 views on each video, and like
2000.
yeah, and moving. It quickly grew, really quickly. 10,000 views, 20,000 views.
What time period are we looking at that those guys?
This is like the birth of YouTube, like 2006.
2006.
Yeah, and that's like when all these people started coming up. Philip DeFranco and Lisa Nova, I would say, was probably one of the first digital stars, and she actually was one of the first people to besides Lonely Island, were the first people to go from being a YouTuber onto an actual like traditional show. She was on Mad TV for a season, and that was like, whoa. This is crazy. Wait, what? This person is from the internet and like trying to make it in this real comedy world.
It's funny because now, I mean, we take it for granted that shows had to start as a YouTube show. Like Broad City started as a YouTube show, and a lot of other things that are being Insecure started as a YouTube idea. Yeah.
And you know, back then it was even more alien to people, and it was a much more tight knit community of people. You know. And I mean, even before that, you know, you had 4chan and all these other things. Anyone remember bum fights?
Oh gosh.
Bum fights released digitally too before YouTube even existed, and that was where they would pay a homeless person like $50, and then they would fight like in a real street fight. They sold them on DVD too, but that was, you know, those
pretty messed up.
Those were released online. I think you can still see some of them in 280. You know,
really?
somewhere. Isn't it crazy how 280 looks to our eyes now?
Oh, it's crazy.
Before it looked amazing.
I remember when YouTube actually started having things in HD, and it blew my mind.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my god. So we have this inception of sort of the digital space. YouTubers getting 2,000 hits. What was the next kind of big milestone?
Yeah.
I would say once these people started getting some attention outside of YouTube, they were growing in the community, but the dawn of viral videos and people that you thought were real, like a Dax Flame, like people thought his whole thing was he was kind of seemed like an autistic kid in his basement, you know, and people thought that was a real person, you know, so they attached to it, and it was like a very fascinating thing. And Lonely Girl, remember Lonely Girl? That was one of the first like produced web series on YouTube, you know, and that sort of was, I consider that like a mainstream trying to inject itself into the YouTube community, you know.
Right. Yeah.
And people thought that was real. It was a very Blair Witch type thing, and I think that a lot of what people were doing back then was like trying to make things real. But I think Chocolate Rain really was something that brought a lot of attention to YouTube and the whole viral video phenomenon. You know, Chocolate Rain was probably at the time like it was the biggest video that you could find online, and I think it was like brought so many people to YouTube and like searching around for, oh, what's going on here? Like, this person is crazy, and look how many other crazy people there are.
Right.
And I think that really brought a lot of attention to the platform.
Yeah, and I remember friends of ours put together the Lizzie Bennett Diaries too. I remember that was kind of a big phenomenon as well.
Yeah.
I remember going to an Emmys event, and it was the digital space kind of Emmy group, and I was like, wow, they have, you know, fantastic food and fantastic drink. People are taking this seriously. They're throwing money into this environment.
Yeah.
So now we're in this place where it's not taken for granted. People have kind of been pioneering the digital space for now probably 11, 12 years, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of what's been happening. How would you characterize the difference between where they were then and where they are now? I mean, has it simply just become more professional? Or has the very fact that it's gone through this little revolution changed the very idea of content? What content is?
Yeah. I mean, I think if you ask anybody, they'll have a different answer for it, but I think that it comes from the viewership. Like viewers, the eyeballs are trusted a little bit more by advertisers when it comes to YouTube.
Right.
Facebook is trying to make their eyeballs and the numbers like actually matter in a way that is equitable to what a Nielsen rating would be for a television show. And I think that, at least in my opinion, like that is what is going to be driving the monetization is advertiser money. because that's what, the reason why you have a hit show like Friends on the air for 10 whatever years is because of the amount of money that it can move from advertisers, because that's giving value to them and then giving by having people go and buy the product afterwards when they see it. So I think like that is where we're at now in the space. And before, I mean, when I was an agent educating brands, I'm like, this is what this is worth, and here's why, and this is the ROI you're going to be getting. And just, it was...
What was the resistance? What did you feel the resistance was?
People are stuck in their ways. And when it solidifies and a business model is there, you're just going to replicate it to death. I mean, that's why you get sequels and why you get a certain, like the genre of a picture. Oh, zombies are working. Zombies, 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 until we hate zombies, and then it's on to something else. Right. And so I think that was the big, at least what I'm thinking. Yeah.
Well, you were mentioning Friends, and I was thinking to myself, oh my God, I could never imagine a Friends show coming out in the digital space. Somehow it seems too safe or boring to me.
In terms of like the content that they...
Yeah, in terms of the content itself. I feel like maybe, this might be a stretch, but perhaps the last 12 years of digital content has fundamentally changed what is considered mainstream actual TV content. Yeah,
because I guess there's no real rules when it comes to digital.
Yeah.
Like no group governing it. I mean, well, the adpocalypse stuff, I think, is interesting.
Can you talk about that?
Well, yeah. Well, back to your point, like on the bum fights, did digital stuff, and we're selling things. Like it's not. I guess depends on if that's the type of content you like. That's fine, no judgment. But it's probably not the most. It wouldn't go on network TV at all. And anybody could upload whatever they want to YouTube. And I think like that's a big problem for advertisers, and YouTube has been actively trying to fix that, because there was a bunch, I guess I might be getting this wrong, but there's a bunch of articles out there about it. There was content that was objectionable and not good that was being having advertising on it, and advertisers were having their content be on there, and they were pulling their money off of YouTube. Like, we're not going to be paying for your ads anymore, Google. Our ad was in front of something really, really bad. Right. And that was a big deal for YouTubers, because they had to they restricted how many ads were being played, so that cut down their AdSense money. And if you weren't family friendly, if you weren't network content, then you were seeing a big dip in what you were making monthly. Right,
because then advertisers asked specifically for the safe pieces, because then you couldn't use the algorithm. The algorithm became useless if people couldn't rely on it.
Yeah, and so to what you're saying about would a network TV show work? It might for the right audience and for the right channel, or the right, it's very niche based. That's why there's all these different SVODs, all these streaming services for everyone's certain thing that they like.
The core demographic for mass consumption of entertainment, which is that 18 to 35 demographic, though, has now in a way been at least somewhat raised on digital content, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So how does that change the field? How's it changing what you guys are doing now?
Yeah, I guess figuring out what's relevant to them and that audience. Right now, the different platforms are looking to get subscribers because they're all based on that model, right? They're like mini cable channels.
Right. It's like many different channels instead of shows on big networks.
Yeah, and a big network show, you've got people that are curating and deciding on what type of content they're going to be putting out to their audience that they already have and they're serving. So we're in a space and a time where they're trying to get eyeballs. They're trying to get people to come to their platform. We need you to come subscribe to us. HBO doesn't, because they have all these subscribers already. Right. They just have to make a platform that works, and they did, and they're kind of consolidating it and figuring it out. But these new platforms are needing to figure out how to get eyeballs there. And so it's what's relevant to my audience. What audience do I want to get? I need to get the people that speak to that audience. And I think that, you could speak from being a digital star yourself, that some digital stars don't care. They don't need another platform.
Yeah,
they have their own channel. They can do their own thing.
Yeah, can you talk about that from a creator point of view?
Oh, yeah. Well, Google eventually gave everyone the opportunity to be their own business, be their own star, be their own studio. And it has been a challenge for advertisers, managers, agents, all these people in the traditional world. Because when you see something like that, when you see someone that's getting 2 million views, they have 10 million subscribers, they have a lot of influence over a lot of people, that is incredibly valuable to people. But sometimes you don't want to, if you don't need to be a sellout, if you don't need to advertise to people, then why do it? If you can just simply do your own thing and make $1 million a year, why would you need an agent? Why would you need a manager? Why would you need someone to make you do a Tide video? And it's different for everyone, really. Some people are like, yeah, I like money. I am so down to sell out. Please allow me to do that. And I don't know, it's just it's two different worlds. I feel like,
but they're two different worlds that are almost equally relevant, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Like, before it was kind of like, oh yeah, these little kids are doing their thing, but this is television.
Right.
Now, a YouTube person could actually probably outstrip a network show in terms of viewership.
For sure. But as far as brand value, that changes as well. I mean, a brand still looks at the quality of the entertainment, you know. The views, of course, are great, but I think that they've become more savvy in a way where, you know, they don't want, if they can put their name on something that's high quality and like someone looks at it and is like, oh wow, like they have a real experience with it, that's more valuable than to put it on, you know, somebody's vlog where they're talking about they're eating pizza and that's so quirky, you know.
Right. Unless it's Papa John's.
Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah, could you eat this Papa John's pizza and be quirky?
Every week we're gonna eat another pizza.
Yeah. I don't know. It's an interesting shift, and from the past to the present now, you know, YouTube started as no one was making money. It was strictly passion and pure creativity, and as it's grown and as Google came in, you know, it became a business for a lot of people. So now people are very savvy. I feel like the quality of even people who are just talking to the camera has gone up.
Right,
like,
yeah.
it's just, and people understand the value behind what they're doing, and that
Right.
that quality will increase that in some way.
And I've also found that a lot of those people have seen now the value, and even though they could do it by themselves and everything, sort of being them becomes like a full-time job. It sort of requires also someone to manage your social media, to manage your production, to manage all these things, and you know, you sort of realize, you know, you get lots of different little networks.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you about subscription too, because this is a little bit of a tangent because I like to get back to what you guys are actually producing and creating. But I've noticed that people are now, everybody's sort of subscribing to Hulu and Netflix and HBO, and I realize even myself, we subscribe to Netflix, Hulu, and HBO already. And then, of course, we have cable as well, and we have all these other things, and we're adding them up, and we're like, are we really getting that much value out of, you know, the amount of money that it costs? I mean, can you see a point at which subscription no longer works because you can't subscribe to 15 different channels?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's about skinny bundles. It's going to be about
Right.
YouTube TV giving you, and Hulu TV giving you an option where you can, for a little bit less, get all these different services. But right now they're just straight add-ons.
Right.
You know, like when you buy a TV package, you get it at a bundle price. It's just it's like 500 channels. It's crazy, like the traditional television. I think that's what it's going to end up being. This is the year of consolidating. Last year was the year of the SVOD, just SVOD after SVOD launched. This is the year where you see Vimeo no longer doing their SVOD service. You see different platforms, they're going to flounder or they're going to succeed, and I think the big conglomerates are going to want to bring them together so that
Right.
they can combine an audience, so it just makes sense for advertisers, it makes sense for how they're monetizing, and I agree though, yeah, it's going to get expensive, and it's going to swing back, I think.
What do you feel is, like when you talk to people, is surprising about the digital space, that when you tell them something, they always go, oh wow, I didn't actually realize that. Is there anything about the kind of audience or the amount of the audience or the way business is done that I think a lot of people don't know and would find surprising?
That the people are talented.
They just dismiss them as non-talented.
Yeah, I mean, we've been running into that. That YouTube has a stink to it a little bit.
Right.
To even,
I mean, not to people who watch YouTube. But,
exactly, but to people, even to like some of these bigger digital networks, they're still, it's YouTube, or let's look at their channel, what is it like? I don't know. They're really, I don't know if they're any good at what they do, but
Right.
a lot of these people have found an audience, not just because of their personality, but because they're truly talented artists and truly talented creative people. And to your point of, you get to a certain level and you need help in every facet. You're no longer, to your point, like you're no longer just a personality, you're a brand. And a brand needs, you need help to expand that beyond where you started, I think.
Yeah. And I feel like a lot of people in the traditional industry don't view them as celebrities, which they are, like real celebrities. Like Kim Kardashian is a celebrity, but they would cast a YouTuber, say, in a movie, and they're not offered the same amounts or like not treated in the same way, as they would treat Brad Pitt, for example.
Right.
But it's like they're literally on the same level. It's like there's no difference. They're walking around and people are mobbing them just like anyone.
Well, with the Brad Pitt though, he commands a global audience in the box office, and that's in much older for decades like platform and thing that works. Kim Kardashian has a show. Is it still on E? Is that what it's on? No. I'm not sure what network it's on.
I've never seen
but
it.
Keeping Up with the Kardashians is on. It's a regular television
Yeah.
show, so like it makes sense to people that are a little bit older and are in this power position. But like you've said, people now in the 18 to 35 have grown up with it.
Yeah.
You listen to podcasts like David Dobrik and Jason Nash have a podcast called Views, and you listen to David talk, and I think he's like 21 or something, and he grew up in high school watching YouTubers.
Right.
I had one cell phone that my family shared, and we had like 50 texts a month. Like,
Right.
So it's crazy. It's just crazy that like it's such a generational shift.
So what do you do then? So let's say you guys identify a YouTuber, you go, oh my God, this person is talented.
Yeah.
How do you grow that into a brand that actually can make a dent in advertising and in larger circles of eyeballs and things like that?
It depends on what they want. It really
Okay.
depends on what they want to be doing, because you can't bring a horse to water and force him to drink.
So they need to be cooperative in this effort.
In a way, but for themselves, like if somebody is totally fine with just with doing the YouTube videos they're doing and monetizing how they're monetizing and doing what they're doing, like that's great. But if you're somebody that is really wants to take that next step or wants to expand and wants to like grow that brand, there's ways to do that in all sorts of different venues and avenues. Like some people are let's play video game vloggers in a way. Some people do sketch. Some people do full-on scripted content. It really just depends on what their lane is and where they want to expand. But it's really about just diversifying their monetization flow and so you can keep things flowing for them and growing.
So there are two more things I want to talk about. One is sort of the evolution of Maker, Rawn. I'd love to be able to talk about kind of where it started, where it was at the point you sold it, and what it's doing now. Just because I would love to, I think it's an interesting story, and I think it would be nice to talk about. And then after that, I'd love to just start talking about the machine and what you guys have going on, because I know we're running out of time a little bit here.
Okay.
Oh, we're running out of time. We're
It's
running
been
out of
great.
we're
Running out
running
of
out of
time.
infinity time. We've got another show coming up after that.
That's true. Well, so where did Maker start in terms of the content and what it was doing? Where was it at the point it was sold?
Well, it was the brainchild of Dan Zappin and Lisa Nova, Lisa Nova was one of the early YouTube stars.
Right.
And they kind of had a business called Zappin Productions where they were selling, trying to sell, working with brands, very early brand deals. One of the first people to work with brands on YouTube. And the idea to come together, to bring a bunch of YouTubers together to create something that was more valuable to brands was their idea. So they just brought us all together. And that formed a thing called The Station, which was like a super channel of sorts. And from that, we kind of realized like, oh, hey, this is a good idea. It does work, But at the time, it was the fastest growing YouTube channel out there. And that I think we got like 1 million subscribers in like 3 days or something like that. And then from that, it just expanded. We were like, okay, this is great. If you have a lot of people, brands want those eyeballs. Right. So why don't we just repeat that and get more channels, more people, and we can sell advertising on that. And it's the MCN model, which still exists, but is something that is kind of going out of style in a way. But
Why do you think it's going out of style?
it's just there's no ownership for the company.
Okay, I see. And without ownership, there's no larger business strategic plan or things.
Absolutely.
Like that.
Yeah. When you can't own the content, then you don't actually have a lot of value. You know?
Right.
So it's more about being able to create and control your own stuff.
And so at the point Maker was sold, that's where it was. It was a lot of creators all kind of making content. You were making money on the subscribers. Who bought it again? It was
Disney.
Disney bought it.
A little company called
A little
Disney.
company. Is that a D-I-Z? No.
Diz.
What did they hope to do with it then?
Their hope was, to continue
Just
and
to
expand
continue
on
the
it.
same
Yeah,
strategy.
and to utilize it for the brands that they have.
Okay.
It's now since been ingested by Disney. It's now Disney Digital Interactive. So
Right.
it's now just part of the Disney brand, and it's just part of their strategy to have a foot in the digital space, to be able to promote all of the stuff that they do online.
Do you see that Disney could possibly have success with that?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I think they already are.
Yeah.
I mean,
So they're continuing with the same strategy. It's not like they've changed what Maker is or the content that's on Maker.
Yeah, a little bit. It's Disney now.
Streamlined?
They've gotten rid of a lot of the brands and stuff, cut out a lot of the what they would consider excess or fat,
All right.
and streamlined is a good
focused
word.
it. Focused it. I mean,
Right.
you've got brands like Marvel under there. You've got all the Disney characters, like the Disney Channel, all that. So I think
Right,
it's.
right.
I mean, it was just a smart acquisition for them.
But that is a far cry from a consortium of hungry, creative, starving minds, creating this kind of like gravitational force of content. I mean,
Yeah.
what you're describing is something that is almost 180 degrees from that.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was a definite yin and yang.
Right.
It took like the kind of rampant creativity that it was born from, and now it's a very corporate, well-oiled machine
Right.
in a way.
So the architecture is still there, but the content is there.
Yeah, but that's why I teamed up with this guy, and we made the machine,
Which
just
is
to
a
have that
great
feeling
segue.
again.
Let's-
Just to have that feeling again. Hey, this ain't my first rodeo.
So talk about the machine. Talk about what each of you saw in the landscape out there that kind of needed to be answered that the machine answers.
Yeah. Well, I had started a management firm called Moopsy that was focused on digital creators. And Rawn and I had started working together on a few projects and saw how our minds and our tastes kind of clicked together in a really interesting way, and how our core competencies complemented each other. And so we're in the process of launching what is called TheMachine. It's management, production, focused on emerging talents, technologies, and platforms. And so we together are managing and producing, and our clients are people that are showrunners in the digital space. Like, they're doing series, they're like the Issa Rays. They have their the 3 seasons of their show, and helping them take that, develop it into something bigger. Like, do they want to do a half hour? How do you take this from where you're at now and build and expand it out? And also working with people that have channels that want to find that next step for themselves. They've built a following, they have brands, they're working with them and doing that stuff, but how do we streamline what they're doing, and how do we help them expand and protect what they're doing?
Right. It sounds like there isn't really one formula that fits all. It sounds like it's a personality issue, it's a content issue,
Yeah, and it's really about figuring out what they want. Because I think in traditional media, there's a lane, there's a way it works, and you do it. If you want to be an actor, headshot, reel, class, send out for submissions. And it's really, that's easy. It's not easy, it's still hard work, but it's easy, I think, to understand that.
Right.
When you're representing somebody in the digital space, where are you in this entire digital space? How do you fit in?
Right.
What are you trying to do? What do you want to focus your time on? And like, time's a premium thing, right? Like, you can have a show that's monetizing and you're making a video every single day on your channel. Why would you go and sit on set for 12 hours for somebody else's thing? It might not make sense for them. And
Right.
they might enjoy vlogging. They might be really great actors, but they're already monetizing and doing things and making money in how they're doing things. So it just really depends.
So what are you guys most excited about then with The Machine?
Man, the sky's the limit.
The sky is the limit. Yeah.
Which is really cool.
I just think that it's no longer new media. It's media.
It's
and
media,
It's
right.
media, and there's so many options and so
Yeah.
many creative ways to do things, and you could have like a 15-second idea that's amazing, and you can find a place for that, and you can have an idea for a 10-hour film, perhaps,
Sure.
and you could find a place for that, and I think it's all very exciting.
Yeah.
I think Kevin and I both just, we're trying to source the most interesting things. We're trying to find the Game of Thrones for every platform and everyone,
Right,
and
right.
it's so fun.
Oh, that's great.
So fun.
Before we end, I'd love to be able to ask and go back to the idea of both managing and producing. I mean, that is a new paradigm, right? I mean, that's not how traditional Hollywood ever worked. So, what is it with the combination of managing and producing that allows you to do what you do?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's been done a little bit in the past in a different way. I don't think that they don't understand how to work, and they meaning traditional media, how to work within where we're working.
So you think you're almost bringing them in a little bit more towards a Hollywood model?
Yeah, it's taking what was good from that, what was good great from digital, and getting rid of all the bad as much as we can, and combining this to make something new. Because you're never reinventing the wheel totally. You're taking pieces, it's just a remix culture. You're taking the stuff that works and making it into something better so that you can be better for everybody. Like our mission is not like we'd love to find Game of Thrones and we'd love to like win massive accolades and continue to win massive accolades and awards and festivals and all the stuff that we're already doing. That's awesome, and we can continue doing that, but we really just want to give people that don't have the opportunity to continue expressing themselves in their voice. Diverse content, diverse voices, and people that aren't going to be overlooked like we were talking about. People are being looked at on YouTube and not being taken seriously yet. They're starting to be.
Right.
And we want to continue to be the force that's helping traditional media and everyone that doesn't already get what's happening, that these people are the best of the best, and that they have a voice and that it's time to hear it.
I like also how you used the term remix culture, not to describe the content, but to describe the business model.
Yeah.
The strategy. And
Yeah,
it's like not only is content itself remixed, but the very way we create it is being remixed.
Totally.
Yeah, that would be it. I feel like there's an essay coming on. Well, listen, before we take off, so Butcherbird and the Machine, of course, I'm hoping that we work together later on too, but
Yeah.
we did do a little thing for you guys. We did a little bit of kind of an effects piece at the end of one of your films. You want to set up the film and
Yeah.
what we're about to see?
Yeah, this is a short film called Bangarang. It's the origin story of the character Rufio from the movie Hook, directed by Steven Spielberg, and it's a project directed by Jonah Feingold and produced by The Machine and Dante Bosco, who played the character character Rufio in the movie Hook, and it was very fun. It's funded on Kickstarter, and it got a lot of press, both before and after, and it was great. And thank you for your help.
Oh, no problem. Well, let's do a little bit of Butcherbird bragging here. Let's talk about what we did.
That's the real sword from the movie. How did Blue Force shoot? Wait, that's an effect
So I know it's small, but that ship on the horizon. We also did a few little effects that the character sort of did, like little kind of light effects on feet and things like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, you came to us and said we want this little
Yeah.
pirate ship on the horizon to sort of hint that this is Neverland. And I love how you guys also just decided to go with it. Very subtle.
Yeah.
It's just on the horizon. It's just this little bit, but it's still impacting. I really like that a lot. And thank you for letting us be involved with that.
Oh,
problem.
absolutely.
Thanks
Thank
for-
you
yeah.
so much.
So again, we have Kevin Herrera and Rawn Erickson from The Machine. We really enjoy sitting down with them and talking about working in the digital space. And I feel like I feel like we only hit the tip of the iceberg too. I'd
Oh.
love to have you guys back again so we can really get in the weeds about how the digital
Trust
space
me,
operates.
we could talk for hours.
And you guys are going to want to hear us talk for hours. So with that, thank you so much for tuning in to Butcher Presents again, and we'll see you guys soon.
Adios.